Hello, Facebook! How is everyone doing today? I am diving right in because I cannot wait. I am so excited. I think this is going to be one of the funnest interviews I have done. I am so excited to interview one of my dear, dear, dear friends, one of the most, just one of my silliest clients that I just never know what is going to come out of her mouth. She makes me belly laugh like crazy. Hi, Mandy. Hi, Angie. Hi, Leah. And I have a feeling I'm going to belly laugh a lot on this Facebook Live. So I am so excited. She has just joined. I'm going to just go ahead and invite her right away. But get ready to watch a really awesome Facebook Live from the creator of the new podcast that is getting ready to come out, Moms, Minivans, and Mayhem. And I can't wait for her to tell you what that's going to be about, what she does when she's working with moms. Just stay tuned. We are going to have the most fun ever. So I'm going to invite her right now, and we're going to dive right in. Right in is coming to you right now. I'm so excited. This is going to be so fun. Hi, Miss Leah.
Hello. I'm good. How are you?
Oh my gosh, I am doing so fantastic.
You're in the Bahamas.
I am in the Bahamas, yes, and I am so excited.
And happy birthday to your beautiful mama.
Aww, thank you. My mama says she says thank you for saying happy birthday. How are you doing, darling? Hi, Dolores. Hi, Heather. I
Hi, Heather.
Joining, but it doesn't show anyone up on my screen. Like, it shows me that they're on, but then it shows me that one person is viewing, which can't possibly be right.
We have to have more. Where are my peeps at?
No, there are. It shows me on my screen all the people because I'm saying hi to them. Hi, Ashley. I don't know what's wrong with my Wi-Fi, but just so you know, I'm so sorry. I've been getting the worst Wi-Fi in the Bahamas, so I will try to I won't try, but we'll just hope in the universe that we don't have any mistakes and mishaps. And I'm able to hear you the whole time.
Yes. I think it's because you're supposed to be shutting down while you're in the Bahamas. I'm ready, but you probably don't know what I look like from here down. Like, right? Like, so it's, how you can only see this part, so you just don't want to know what's going on down here. Okay? Like, let's not have me stand up.
I love, love, love it. Hi, Lindsay. Hi, Kim. Okay, so we're diving right in. She says, hi, my gorgeous friends. Hello.
Hello, beautiful.
Yeah, tell everyone who you are and what you are about.
Yes. Leah Shaw Brady, formerly known as Boss Babe Brady, but we can't do that because that's trademarked. But I am a wife, mother of 4.5-year-old triplets and 2 dogs, which kind of feels like 5 kids altogether. I am a stay-at-home mom, but I am also becoming a life coach, and I blog and entrepreneur. And just literally right before we were on here, the only thing left for me to submit my podcast to iTunes is getting my picture to the right pixel size. That is the only thing standing in my way from submitting it to iTunes. Like, it has been insane. I have no idea, like, all the steps that go along with creating a podcast, like that you have to have the software to download and listen to the podcast. And then you have to put it up on a hosting website so that you can host it there. And then you have to share that RSS feed to iTunes to get it submitted. And I'm like, why can't I just upload the picture? Like, I don't understand. Like, I don't know how to resize it. I've gotten to this point, and that's like the only thing. So very, very soon, hopefully by tomorrow, I will have my podcast live and ready to go.
Oh my gosh. I am so excited. You are the very first diva to launch a podcast.
Really?
That's amazing.
Excited. I'm excited. It's so fun. I mean, like, once I actually kind of figured it out and got it all together, but it's exciting. I can't wait to just actually start doing live interviews. Like, this one was just like me talking and giving my background, but like, I want to talk to other women and interview them and get to know their stories and hear the craziness that's going on in their world.
Yes. Oh my gosh. I love it. Hi, Caitlin. Lindsay says she's very jealous. Lindsay will get you up a podcast too. Hi, Macy. in a super
In a
healthy
super
way.
healthy
Yes.
way.
I
I worked
love
out all the kinks for everybody, so I'll be able to give you guys a foolproof plan on how to get it.
Yes, and Lindsay, you should not be so jealous because Leah will be in the Coach Mastermind. So that is something that she will be able to contribute to you all, is helping you all get your podcast up and going as well. So be very, very excited. And Leah wants to know if she can be, Heather wants to know if she can be your first dog mom interview.
Oh, absolutely. 100%. You give me your open date. We'll do it tomorrow.
Oh my gosh. I love it so much. Hi, Dawn. I love it. Okay, so Leah, before we get too far into it, have you shared this video on your page?
I believe I did, but I'll share it again just to make sure. There we go. Can't share it too much.
Okay, I just wanted to check. Okay, awesome. Hi, Christy. Hi, Josh. Okay, so you are a mom of 3 4-year-old triplets. So talk to me.
Yes.
I don't know if you told them the podcast name. I said it before I invited you, but I want you to talk about your journey with triplets. Start as far back as you would like, and then how that turned into Mom's Minivans and Mayhem. And then give us a sneak peek of what that's going to be about.
Yeah, so my husband and I knew as soon as we got married, we wanted to start trying for a family. And we realized quickly that that was not going to be as easy as I would have hoped. So we sought out fertility treatment, and about 1.5 years later, we finally got the positive pregnancy test, and we found out that there was a chance of having 6, but only 3 took. God was looking out for me there. I think he was like, okay, 3's all you can handle, maybe. And so we had them, and I was on bed rest for just about 2 weeks until I had them, and I delivered them at 34 weeks. And the only thing they had to be in the NICU for was for feeding and growth. And it was quickly developed. I reached out to a group called the Tri-State Multiples Group in Cincinnati, and it is a group of all moms of multiples. And they were such an amazing support group for me and gave me all the best advice. So before I even got there, I knew everything I could know without actually getting in there and doing it myself. So we knew all we had to do was get a schedule, stick to a schedule. So ever since they've been born, we've had a schedule. And one of the things we had to quickly master was every 3 hours waking up and feeding them, but then also like creating the assembly line of waking one up, changing, putting them down, feeding, waking one up, changing them down, feeding and changing. And so we had to create a system for that. And then also creating all the formula and, all the 7 different feedings throughout the day. And so that's 21 bottles that we had to fill every day. So I need to post a picture that shows all the bottles that I was filling up like every morning so that they were all preset and ready to go. It was just chaos. But seriously, I felt like I was like a machine, like on an assembly line. So we were very structured, and it was crazy just trying to get my hands on all of them at the same time. Like our living room was chaos. I mean, there was swings everywhere. There was bouncy seats. There was things you walked by and it squeaked and made noise. Like it was a circus in our living room. And because you have to have 3 of everything. And we had this triplet stroller, like long in a line triplet stroller. Just the frame
of this triplet stroller.
Oh yeah. It was huge. It looks like a bobsled. Like I'm not kidding. It was a bobsled. And it doesn't fold up.
It in the comments section of this Facebook Live.
Oh my gosh, how do I do that?
Well, don't do it now. See
if I can find it. I'll have to find it. Yeah, I'll find it later. But yeah, so like it looks like a bobsled, and it doesn't fold up because it's so long. And that's why I had to get a minivan. So at 30, I not only found out that I was going to be a mom of not 1, but 3, and I had to give up my SUV. And they're like, oh, just kidding. Now you're driving a Honda minivan. And I'm like, score. They have sliding doors and a DVD player because it wouldn't fold up. So we had to have that for the stroller. So the first year was kind of like, okay, like we were kind of tired. Like, we couldn't go through the whole sleeping through the night because they had to grow. So we had to keep waking them up every 3 hours. And then my daughter Ava had a hemangioma and she had it on the side. So she had to take special medicine. So even up until 14 months, we had to wake them up every 4 hours to feed. So we didn't have a solid night's sleep until they were over a year old. So that happened. And then for those of you who did the Live Your Light event, you kind of know my background, but my mom passed away when the kids were 18 months old. And 2 weeks after that, we found out we're moving down to Louisville. So it was like, okay, I have 18-month-old triplets and we're moving away from our family. And I just lost my mom, like utter like upheaval. And my world was flipped upside down. And so then just kind of getting myself together down there in Louisville and just being able to establish our family down there, and then also kind of deal with the grief, but still be the strong mom and hold myself together. And that's when I started Rodan Fields. And then I had met my beautiful friend, Tara Newton, and she introduced me to you, which started a whole new path for my life of finding my passion and dealing with my grief and managing my thoughts and just, gosh, I don't know, just finding just my passion and just living my life finally, instead of just going through the motions day after day. And so through this, it's kind of like you kind of worked with me really well and just kind of broke me down a little bit to see what it was, where I was really passionate about. And because it wasn't Rodan Fields as much as it was in the beginning.
Down, not you down.
Yes, you broke my thoughts down and broke down maybe my barriers to kind of get where I wanted to go. Because I kind of threw on a couple layers of things.
Down. There was nothing left.
You beat me down to build me up as the person you want me to be. No, I'm just kidding. I'm totally kidding.
Oh my God.
Oh my God. Yeah. So after Stacey beat me, helped me regain my life. And, but no, she helped guide me. She really, really did. I thank God every day for you and for Tara and for meeting you, because I was kind of a hot mess in many ways, if you ask my husband. I'm surprised we're still married. But so through that, I kind of just figured out that there was a different path that I wanted to go on. And we had implemented the method of figuring out what worked, what didn't work, and what can you do different. And there was just certain things that I kept getting pulled back to. And then also, even though it was something that I wanted to do, but I still let fear hold me back. So I kept saying, I don't know, I'm thinking about becoming a life coach. I'm thinking about starting a podcast. I'm thinking about starting a blog. So I kind of tipped my toe in the water and started with a blog, because that was the easiest way to put myself out there with the least amount of fear, because I could hide behind words on a screen, where with a Facebook Live or a podcast.
Your blogs are amazing though. I love reading them. I think I love reading the feedback for your blogs as much as reading your blogs. Like, they're so good, but then I just love when I share it, or when someone else shares it, like seeing the comments that other people make about what you've written, because you really like dove right in immediately right away to the serious stuff. Like, really just let people in right away. You were so vulnerable with people, and I think that was one of the biggest stages of your growth, I think, is just letting people in so quickly, so deeply, just on that blog.
Yes, and being authentic, which you helped me with a lot, because it's very easy to hide behind who you think people want you to be and who you want everybody else to perceive you as. And I was like, okay, well, if I really want to help other women get through whatever it is that's holding them back, whether it's grief or fear or anything that's standing in their way, I couldn't help them if I wasn't truly authentic. And I kind of figured that out with some of my friendships, that when we were talking and there would be a time where I would open up a side about me that I had never said. And then all of a sudden that gave her the room and the space to be open with me. And I was like, oh my gosh, we just connected on a completely different level. And I've known you for 12 years. Like, how is it possible that we're just now having this kind of conversation?
Yeah.
So it was like opening myself up, opened up so much more, not only for giving me the courage to keep writing and sharing my story, but then also having the courage to step forward and say that I want to be a life coach and I really want to work with these women and help them through. So
I love that so much. And Macy says she loves your blogs. Hi, Megan. Oh. And Dawn, it's fine. We didn't even see the laughing emoji.
Thanks, Dawn.
So let's talk about this. Let's talk about, there's so many things I want to talk to you about that I'm going to try to not make this Facebook Live like an hour, but I have all the things that I want to talk about. Hi, Janelle. So, okay. Number one that I want to ask you, let's talk about, are you ready? Vulnerability.
Okay.
And hiding from vulnerability.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I have no idea what you mean.
I'm putting you on the hot seat right away, because I think that this is a journey that you've been, it's something that's really like you've deeply explored, and I think it will be fun to share.
Yes. Yeah. My knee-jerk reaction all the time is to deflect with humor, because there's a lot of negative emotion I don't like to feel, because nobody likes feeling that negative emotion. But I have figured out through a lot of work that when I feel that negative emotion, instead of deflecting immediately with a joke, I mean, let's be honest, there's a time and a place for humor, and I will use that, but not in all the times that I needed to. So I really became more aware of the situations where I was about ready to say something that would be like joking or, have the humor in it. And I had to bite my tongue, which is very uncomfortable for me because it's always been my knee-jerk reaction, and sit with that uncomfortable feeling of whatever it was. Because the more that I would deflect, I obviously wasn't really honoring my negative emotion, which you need to fully process whatever it is that you're working through. And the less that I've deflected with humor, the more I feel like I've been able to grow and be more comfortable sitting with that negative emotion.
Yeah, that's amazing. And Lindsay says that she relates to you a lot this way.
My soul sister.
I love that. So let's talk about the Live Your Light Live event because we did an event together with, I'm counting in my mind, 3 other coaches. So there were 5 of us. And I was so blown away by your time on stage, and you were so funny, but then you were so real, and your part in that event, I still hear people talk about it. What you said about grief. And so I would love for you to just talk a little bit about the Live Your Light Live event, like what that was like for you, having to step on stage as a coach, having never worked with clients before, just like going all in, and it's live telecasted, and you own it, and people are freaking out over what you're talking about. I mean, just the messages that have come to me, the things that people have said to me about that event, it really blew my mind. So I would love for you to just talk about your experience at the event, leading up to the event, like as like just a new coach showing up on stage, but then also if you could transition into your work with grief and the things that you work with your clients on when it comes to that. So,
Thank you, Lindsay.
Talks about my friends with triplets. I love that. So can you just talk a little bit about that?
Yes. So leading up to the event, I kept thinking about what it was that I wanted to talk about. And I wasn't even thinking about the fact that we probably wouldn't be able to use note cards. I thought for sure.
I remember when you asked me that, and I was like, no.
Yeah. I was like, what do you mean? And this was like 3 days before, and I was like, I'm sweating. What do you mean I can't use note cards? Okay, so there's going to be a teleprompter. Great, got it. Nope, not that either.
And
so
I
was
live casted to a studio audience as well, or an audience as well, like a live Facebook group audience. So no problem.
Yeah.
No big deal.
No pressure at all. So I thought I knew what I wanted to talk about, and I had the basic bullet points about, my journey, how I got to where I was. And then I got really nervous when I thought I couldn't use the note cards, and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm totally going to fumble on stage. And one thing that I have been working through is not letting fear take me over, because, you're only experiencing fear and anticipating the pain, right? So like, oh my gosh, what if I'm so uncomfortable on stage? But when you have all this fear, you haven't even been on stage yet. So why do you feel that fear now? And that was something that I was working through. And it was kind of like, and the angel and the devil, like I kept going back and forth. Like I know what I should be feeling, but I couldn't get my mind wrapped around it. And my husband actually showed me the video, which I had shared with you ladies. And I'm sure most of you on here have seen that, but with Will Smith, how he talks about feeling the fear. And, it doesn't serve you to feel that fear until you're actually doing it. Like maybe right before you go on stage, you can feel that little bit of fear, but you're not doing anything up until then. So that really helped me kind of disassociate with the feeling of fear leading up to it, because I'm like, there is no reason to feel this right now. Like I'm good. I'm here. I'm sitting in my living room, or I'm in the hotel room with you girls. So that helped me remain calm leading up to it. And then I saw that we were downstairs in the networking before, and that's when I realized that my brother showed up, which I could cry, because I did not expect him to be there at all, and just completely surprised me. And I was like, oh God, now my nerves are like shot even more. Like my brother's going to sit there and stare at me and hear my story. And, he was with it. He lived through it all with me. And, but it also helped calm me because he was there, like my anchor was there in there and watching. And supporting me. And so, of course, I was number 4 out of the lineup. So I was like sitting in the audience for like 3 hours.
Yeah, I was like, I felt so lucky. I got to go first and then immediately just like go get a glass of wine and sit back and relax.
Oh, yeah.
So I was like, it's great. This is awesome.
Oh, yeah. I was parched.
Can't imagine if I had to wait and listen to other girls speak and be thinking about that the whole time.
Yeah. And I was so afraid. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm like, all of these thoughts are going to be like, I'm going to try to remember my speech, but then I'm going to be listening to their speech on there and be so involved. And I'm like, what if I forget what I'm going to say? But really, I wasn't too nervous about what I was going to say because, you know, we had worked through it the night before, but also it's really just sharing. I'm not trying to sell anybody anything. I'm just sharing my journey and my story. So there's nothing nerve-wracking about that. Of course, like standing up in front of people and all those people you can't see who are viewing online can be very nerve-wracking, but I was just talking about me. So I didn't feel like I needed note cards because this was my story. This is my journey. This is all the things that I've lived through. And then just telling everybody where I wanted to go with it and where I wanted to take everybody with me on this journey. And so when we stepped up on stage, it was like, oh, okay, like I had to harness in like all of that fear, you know, and the anxiety. And I was like, oh, please don't let my microphone shake so bad that people can't hear me. But once I started talking and really diving into my story and leading up to the biggest work that I had to deal with of losing my mom and how that affected me as a mother and raising my kids and how that became such a pivotal moment in my transition because I've had to grow so much since then. And without that happening, I'm not sure if I would be where I am. So that's like the beautiful part of it. And one thing that I learned along my journey is you never get old. You just have to find space in your heart to be able to live your life. But still you can grieve it. I know. I didn't think I was going to. I was like, oh, aren't I past this now? But you just have to make room for it because it's always going to be there. Whoever you've lost in whatever capacity, if you've loved them that much, they're always going to hold a space in your heart. And you can't shove out that love. And part of that love is dealing with the grief and the sadness that comes along with them not being in your life anymore. And that was one of the biggest things that I learned is that it's always going to be there. And so I have to function. I didn't die. I'm still here. And my mom would be pissed if she knew that I was wallowing and not living my life and doing the things that I needed to do because I was sad about losing her. Like she was so bold that I can hear her in my head, like just cursing me, like, no, pull it together. Like, this is, this is your time. Like this, I'm up here, I'm helping you, I'm by your side. So that became one of the biggest things is I saw a difference in the way that I thought about my mom. I was no longer sad, but I loved her. Even if I cried, it's out of love and less about sadness. Of course, there's times where I miss her, but I think of her in such a different way now that it's just more of a love and happiness. And that's really what got me on my journey of becoming a life coach and sharing this with other women who I know that everybody deals with different levels of grief and you can't always relate 100% because every circumstance is different. But learning how to process your emotions and finding the willpower to get up every day and keep moving forward and living your life and pursuing your dreams and just moving out of love and thinking out of love and doing everything out of love will create such a movement that nothing will be able to stop you. And that's what I really want to help women with. And also moms. That's what really kind of helped me with the Moms, Minivans, and Mayhem, because being a mom is true, utter chaos. I mean, there is just no harder job in the world. And I think every mom needs support system and they need to know that they're not the only ones going through what it is that they're going through at this time. Women have done it. They've been through it. They've lived through it. They can tell you about it. So that's why with the podcast element, I want women to get on there and share with me, like, what was the hardest stage that you thought? Are you dealing with it now? And maybe what's the best piece of advice you can give for a new mom? And what was it like going from 1 kid to 2? And then, of course, the humor. I always have to have that in there. So I want them to tell me, like, what was a humiliating moment that you experienced with a mom? Was it your kid had an accident while you're out in public and you're like, oh, God, that's really embarrassing. It happened at Target. Or they're throwing a meltdown. I don't know. But, just kind of creating that community for moms where we can share our stories and hear other pieces of advice and know that you're not alone. And then when I was developing that idea for the podcast, I figured out that that was going to be my first group coaching program, because I wanted that other piece of the element where, you know, of course on the podcast, women can listen, but they can't really contribute unless they're on the call. And I wanted to give women a space where they could come to the call and have their time to share what it was that they were personally going through, so that I could help them work through it. And they could also have the support from the other moms, like the support that we've gotten through Diva Business School. Like, that is a bond and a support system that is just beyond anything that I've ever expected. And I want that with other moms. I want them to feel that love and support, that no matter what they're going through, they have other women that they can rely on and call on, and know that they'll be there to stand up for them and support them in any way they can.
I love that so much. So let's talk about, Lindsay says, I thought I was going to get arrested at a grocery store once.
A little teaser.
Perfect. Caitlin says, is it up and running, and how can I access it? She has one thing left, Caitlin, to submit. Just like she has to like change a pixel on a picture, and then it's getting submitted to iTunes. So it will be available very, very, very soon. And I know she will comment in the comments that it's available.
Yes.
So I have so many questions again, because I'm not done talking about the grief yet with you, but
okay.
I'm going to move past it for now. And I want to know about the new program that you have coming out that's going to be focused on moms, and what is this program going to be about? Who is it for? What will they get out of it? Like, talk a little bit about your new program.
Yeah, so I'm also naming the group coaching Moms, Minivans, and Mayhem. And again, this is for women, that it's going to be starting on August 9th. And this, again, is going to be the space where I want women to come there and tell me what it is that they're going through at that particular moment in their life. And I will have a couple things that I'm going to bring to the table and talk to them and let them know that these are the things that kind of helped me along my journey. And I feel like they can all be applicable whether you have kids or not. But those are things that I feel like I've created a list of some of the things I feel like have been the most essential tools that I've used with my children, and different ways that I've learned how to regain my power, so that in situations where my kids are having a meltdown, I don't lose myself in that situation with them. And that is a priceless tool that you can use with your kids and with anybody else around you, because not getting so emotionally involved, then you don't lose your mind and you can think straight and still be able to hold the power. And I have implemented that over the past month, and to see the change, how it has been with my kids, and how I don't hold on to the frustration of, I can't believe they did that. And like learning how to let go and just being like, that was your issue, not mine. I don't know why I got so upset about that. And not holding on to anger, frustration, and overwhelm so often. I feel like moms really feel overwhelmed, and I want to help them with that. I also feel like a lot of moms compare themselves to other mothers and feel like they have to live up to all these expectations about the moms that we see on Facebook or Pinterest. And you think, oh my God, I am failing as a mother. I did not have that decoration at my kid's birthday party. I didn't have the petting zoo. I am failing as a mother. And I just want to let them know that, you know, not comparing themselves to any other mother, but doing things that work for them, and just being able to work through the things that they feel like they're really struggling with. And finding out those ways are different ways too that they can implement that in their lives and their relationships with everybody else, like not just with their kids, but this is all things that I've realized that I can bring to my relationships with my husband, my family, my friends, and my kids. So even though it's about moms, this is something that everybody can use.
I love it. So when does that program start?
August 9th.
Woo! That's coming
yes.
up. I'm so excited.
Yes, it is.
All right. So, perfect. I want to go back to the grief now.
Okay.
So I really want to just like kind of point it out, because it's so huge, and you said it, and you know, I think that Macy even said, like, I'm going to go back and I'm going to listen to that part over and over. And Lindsay said that the way that you describe grief is one of like the most beautiful ways she's ever heard it described. And I think you said it, and when you did say it at the Live Your Light live event, everybody in the room was transformed, and everyone in the room was impacted. And it's the thing that you say about having to make room for the grief. And I just think that's so so powerful. So I wanted to just see if you could expand upon that for just a second. What does that mean to make room for the grief?
It just means that for me, I realized I kept trying to suppress my grief. I kept trying to push it down and push it down and push it down. I'm like, I don't have time to feel sad. I don't have time to keep crying all the time. I don't have time to miss her. I don't have time to really deal with my grief. And when I was doing that, my grief kept coming up in unexpected ways. It was coming out in anxiety. It was coming out where I kept pushing it down, and somebody would say something and then I'd snap and go off. And I realized that I wasn't dealing with this in a healthy way. And when I stepped back and just let the grief take the place that it needed to in my body, in my mind, and in my life, there was a lot of crying at the beginning because a lot of what I suppressed, I felt like I was going through the grief all over again because I was. And, you know, a part of that was also getting myself off of the depression medication because I knew that I was using that to suppress my grief even more. I was like, nope, I will take a pill and it won't let me think about it. I won't feel sad. I don't want to think about that. And for those of you who were at the event or had read my blog, that was one of the things that I had shared, saying that when I wasn't feeling all of my sadness, I wasn't also feeling all of my happiness. And that wasn't a life that I wanted to live. I didn't want to not feel true joy. So if I had to feel some of those really sad days so that I could really experience all my good days all the way up here, and especially with my kids, I don't want to miss out with anything with my kids. And if I see my kid trying to ride their bike for the first time or going off to school, I don't want to feel like, oh, that's good for them. Like, no, I want to be like, oh my God, they're grown up. Yeah. I want to feel the highs and the lows. And that was a very hard decision because I knew that I was going to feel that sadness in such a suffocating way. But I knew that that was a choice that I wanted to make for myself. And I wanted to see how I dealt with that on my own. And I really processed that in a different way than how I was handling it before. And when I had my first holiday without my mom, and that was on Easter, and I knew that I was going to feel sad and it was going to hit me in a different way than it had before. And so when we got back to our house afterwards, I had sat in the living room and I separated myself because I knew I just had to cry. I'm like, I cannot resist the feeling of sadness. I just have to let it go through me because the more I resist it, that's just suppressing it. And so I just cried and I just let it openly fall. And I felt so much better because I wasn't so tired and exhausted from fighting the feeling of not wanting to feel. I was just letting it go through, and then I moved on. I cried, I let it wash over me, and thought about some good times with my mom at that point as well too, and then I moved on. So when I finally opened myself up to really feel the grief, it opened me up to so much more. I was vulnerable in a way that I hadn't been in a very long time. And I felt things on a different level that I didn't feel before in such a good way. So not hiding the grief and just saying, okay, I know you're there. Some days you're going to be a little bit louder and some days you're going to be a little bit quieter and some days you're really going to scream in my face, and that's okay. But other times, all of this over here that I was missing out on is going to shine brighter on those other days too.
I love that so much. I feel like anybody who watches this, who is watching right now, is just getting one of the biggest lessons of life. Like, I love when you said that I realized, although when I was on the medicine, I wasn't experiencing my grief at a you know, a high level, but I also wasn't experiencing my positive emotions at a high level. And I think that that's such a big thing, even for people who aren't experiencing grief, just in general, if they feel very neutral about their life or are feeling like, you know, like if their reaction to amazing things are like, oh yeah, that's nice, oh great, like you can kind of tell if you aren't living it like extreme, if you don't have like really, really high energy or really high, I shouldn't say energy, but emotions, like you don't feel big and deep, and then there's an emotional range that is available to everyone that can be much bigger than it might be right now. And I think that you touched on that a lot. And one of the things I want to acknowledge you for that people may not know, and you have said this on your blog, is what a warrior you have been in your commitment to your growth and your development. Because when you have not, like you did Diva Business School for 80 something weeks, a long time. And then you you've been private coaching with me for almost a year. And in that time, you have opened up the grief box and just dove all the way in, went off your medicine on your own and said, I'm just going to go on this. And that wasn't even my, like, I literally, you just said one day, I just decided I want to feel again and I'm getting off the meds. And then you just went on this incredible journey of feeling. And I remember messaging you and talking to you through that period and how much withdrawal you went through and how physically ill you were and how much emotions were coming up. And it was just incredible to see your resilience through that and your strength and your courage to keep going. And then on top of that, while you're doing all of that, you've got 3 triplets at home and 2 dogs, and you moved. You moved back to Cincinnati area while all this is going on. And then decided, I'm going to go ahead and just start a podcast and launch a coaching practice. And I just think anybody that has the opportunity to work with you should jump on it, like, so fast, because the things that you've done in such a small amount of time are truly remarkable. Like, people don't do those things. Like, these are not, like, we're not talking about, oh, I got this result, and this result, and this result. We're talking about, like, I fucking dove into my soul and came out on the other side. Like, you have done some really, really deep inner work, and it's just unbelievably exciting to get to see. And I really want to acknowledge you for that, because I just think it's incredible. It's been so amazing for me to watch it. And Sherry says you're a badass.
Oh, thank you. Well, thank you so much, Stacey. I mean, you have been the one that has held my hand through it all and has guided me and provided me with the tools to do that, because shifting my mindset to see it in such a different way was the only way that I survived it. You know, just knowing that what I was feeling wasn't going to kill me. It wasn't going to knock me out. It was just a bad day. It was just a bad minute. You know, it was just a situation that you can acknowledge and move on. And that was something that I didn't know how to deal with before. So working with you is what got me there. So although, yes, I've done the work, but you were the one that helped manage that mindset. So I am forever grateful to you for that.
Thank you. Thank you. I love, like, it is such a joy to work with you. I have loved you from the moment we did our first call. And then I got to meet you and Matt at dinner at Guacamole, one of our favorite little spots in Louisville. And I just remember thinking, this girl and I are going to be best friends. Like, I am so excited to work with this girl. She's never leaving my life. She has to stay forever. And I just love, love, love it. It's like my heart. I love it so much. Oh. So I think anybody that watches this better follow your podcast. I cannot wait to listen to it. They better read your blogs and for sure should join your program. I think you have a lot to offer. And what's amazing is that any mom that ever coaches with you, and she'll have her story about her life, I'm sure, and you're going to be like, listen, I've got triplets. I'm just not believing it. Sorry. They're not going to be able to get any stories by you. Like, sometimes they can get stories by on me because I'm like, oh, shit, I don't know. I don't have kids. But they're not going to get
like, oh, you don't have time? You. Oh, you don't have time? Tell me about time.
Yeah, you're like, I've got 3 triplets and 2 dogs. Let's talk. No, I'm just kidding. That's not really what coaching is about. But I just love that you're going to be able to hold such a space for that. Oh, and Matt's on. Oh, my gosh. Let's just talk about for a second when Matt sent you those flowers at the Live Your Light Live event. I thought that was one of the most fun things ever. So for those of you that are watching that were not at the event, at the end.
And you're going to walk with me because I got to plug it in before I die.
No, don't die.
I know.
So
you're good. Hold on.
We were like breaking before a Q&A, and I was like walking to the bathroom and I see this beautiful bouquet of flowers come in. And I'm like, oh my gosh. So I stopped the guy and I'm like, who are these for? And he was like, I'm looking for Aaliyah Brady. And I was like, oh, I'll make sure she gets these. And he looked at me kind of like, I don't know if I'm giving them. And I was like, listen, this is an event and I want to make sure she gets them at the right time. So I'll take them, you know, go get them, I promise. And he was like, okay. And then I don't think he believed me because he stood in the back of the room until I gave them to you. Just to make sure. But it was so fun to go on stage and, like, you know, just be holding flowers, and people thought that that was something we were giving away as our, like, swag bag. And then to get to announce them and then, like, see your face when I said, you know, Leah, your husband Matt has sent you flowers, like, that moment. And you had just talked about your journey of, like, really learning how to communicate with your husband, and, like, that everyone was inspired by that story. And then it felt like there could not have been a better icing on the cake for that, because you had enrolled everyone in the story about how, you know, you, like, had thought he wasn't supporting you, and then he felt unincluded, and all of this stuff had come out in your speech. So when that showed up, I think every girl about fell out of her seat and could not handle it. It was the most incredible moment. And what's so exciting is we have it on camera, and it's filmed.
Yes.
You can watch it over and over and over forever. But I just thought, like, that was such an incredible moment to that event, because I think it was like actual proof. You know what I mean? Like, they got to just be a part of your story in the moment. And I think that forever connected a lot of people to you as well. So kudos to Matt, because that was just
brownie points.
That was amazing. And that was such an incredible moment. It was everything.
It was amazing.
So in your new group, are you going to talk about, like, you know, if you've got moms in the group, do you think you'll talk at all about how to reinvigorate, like, life into a relationship, or how to, like, communicate with your spouse? Like, will you bring any part of that into the group that you're releasing, or is it going to just be coaching on, you know, working through, like, stuff with your kids? Like, what, kind of talk to me about that.
No, absolutely. 100%. I think that I will work that in there as well. And I know that when I've talked to you about creating content for the group as well, and just also kind of opening it up to them about whatever it is that they're struggling with. So nothing is off the table. So if anybody wants to bring it and talk to them, I want them to have the open space and feel free to bring up anything, whether it's with their relationship with their husband or their kids or anybody else, because it's all tied together. And I'm absolutely going to share that, you know, the experience that I had at our retreat, I mean, that made a big impact for me, because I think as moms, you know, I've shared this with a lot of people that we've said, you know, at the end of the day, and you've got kids crawling all over you and you're touched all day long, and your husband comes in and you're like, don't even think about touching me. And he's like, oh, okay then. And it's just, you know, and you're very sexy. And he's like, he's coming home from a long day at work, probably thinking about you. And you're like, look, don't even step over here into my space. Like, you know, dirty dancing. This is my dance space. That's your dance space. Okay. Let's not cross in. And hearing the way that a guy might interpret that was life-changing for me, because, you know, knowing how he might receive that, and then also how you guys helped change it about when you talked about getting the energy, receiving the energy from somebody else. So even though you may feel drained at the end of the day, because kids require a lot of your energy, and then looking at your husband and just receiving energy from him and feeling reinvigorated at 9 o'clock at night, when typically I'd be like done for, you know, like, then all of a sudden I'm looking at him as a source of energy for me, instead of thinking, don't even think about getting closer to me. Like, I just need my space. So now I've included him. And that was another big aspect that I learned is, you know, I always felt like I was bothering him when I would tell him, like, if he was at work, like, oh my God, you won't believe what the kids did. And like, I was so frustrated. But now I've included him, because, hey, these are your kids too. Like, let's work through this together. Okay. Like, I'm having a bad day. You're having a bad day. Get in my boat over here. And that was something that I feel like was very impactful for me, is communicating with him, because when I was shutting off that piece, there was so much else that I was shutting off. So when I wasn't even talking to him about the things that frustrated me, then I didn't even feel like talking to him about the good things that happened. And I didn't realize that that was something that was happening until after the retreat, that at night I was just shutting myself down completely and recharging in my own way that I thought was the best way to do it. But then realizing that no, like, then I'm shutting off my relationship with him, and then figuring out how to work past that and keep that communication open, and then keeping that relationship stronger. So that was huge for us. And I would love to share that with other women as well.
Yeah. I love what Caitlin, I think, is talking about. so for those that are watching, my business coach and life coach was also at the retreat at the Midnight in Paris in Michigan, which is why we're doing these Facebook Lives, to just introduce all of the girls that were there and what they're doing in their lives and who they are, what they're about. And so Caitlin was talking about, my coach was talking about how we have two bodies, like one for our kids and one for our husband, and how it's so important to have that like piece of you that is still your husband's and you, and like that piece that is for the romance, is for that relationship, because that relationship is where everything else is based, what everything else is based off of. So I think that's so important. And I think that was like, so many of you girls got so much from that part of the retreat, and it's just so exciting. And so Lindsay wanted to know, and I was actually, it's so crazy because right as she typed it, I was literally thinking it, how long is your program?
8 weeks.
I love it. So this will be the most amazing, yes, how you said, no, I loved it. Like, I literally just basically said what you wrote. But I think that is great. Okay, so it starts when again, and it's 8 weeks?
August 9th, every Wednesday.
Okay, and how do people follow you? Like, they need to, you're going to post in the comment section where, when your podcast is available, and then also your website. Go ahead and post that in here. And then they can also connect with you on Facebook. Anywhere else?
Yep, I've got Instagram. And I mean, if you go to my website, it has all like my social media links. And so I just created a YouTube channel. So all the Facebook Lives that I've done, I've posted those there. When I have all the live interviews that I have with the moms, you'll be able to see the live video version there as well. So I'm going to be uploading those. So yeah, I've got YouTube, Twitter, Instagram. I'm all over. Just spread my love everywhere.
I love it. Yes, that is amazing. Okay, so everyone go immediately and connect with Leah. So Leah, before we jump off here, what is the thing that you are most grateful for right now? Yeah, also guys, she also created a YouTube channel. This girl is amazing. It blows me away.
And thank you to Caitlin. Caitlin helped me with that. She helped me kind of talk through how to do that.
Woo-hoo!
Oh my goodness. I am grateful for a lot of things. I just don't know like what to say like that I'm most grateful for. I honestly just want to say my husband, because he's been very patient with me through a lot of things over the past few years, like with a lot of things since we've been together, but just recently over the past few years, like, he's just given me my space and the opportunity to do so much, like letting me stay at home with the kids after they were born and letting me be able to experience all those things that he couldn't be a part of, all those firsts, and expanding my retreat, uploading that, so that I could do the 5-day retreat, and just honestly working as hard as he does.
Moment for me ever. Like, I just got a text that was like, how much is it to upgrade to the 5-day experience? And then he's like, okay, I'm getting that for Leah for Mother's Day. And I'm like, what? Matt has won points with so many women that he never even met. And I mean, he's met me, but like, those things are just so amazing. Like, it's inspiring to, see your vulnerability and what you do and how you jump in, and hi Amanda, and how you just are so, like, he supports you so much that it blows me away, because it's like the more you, and I will say the more you have like dove into this work, the more I think that he's really like stepped up and supported you. But I think it really changes how you show up too, knowing that he supports you as much. Like, I've seen your growth since those flowers showed up. I've seen your growth since that he upgraded your coaching. Like, I've seen all of those things inside of you, of like, I always coach people not to rely on somebody else to make them feel more confident or to believe in themselves. But when you do have a partner that does, like, I know how that feels with Neil. Like, Neil supports me so much. Before I started dating Neil, like, I stopped speaking to several guys because they would not respect my boundaries in my business and how much I have to work in my business and like what I give to my business. And Neil has always been that like soul that will be like, oh, you have an hour and a half of your day available to see me? Okay, I'll pick you up. I'll take you to dinner. I'll make sure you're home in time for your Diva Business School call. Like, he just supports me at such a strong level. And I see that in how Matt interacts with you, and it's just so fun and incredible, and I think it's inspiring to everybody that watches your journey. So, and I know that that's a testament to him. I know, like, I'm an expert in human behavior. I know that that's a testament to what he's seen you go through and how strong he's seen you be and how much change he's seen you tackle and accomplish in such a short amount of time that, you know, it just goes back to you. Basically, you're amazing.
Can I call you every morning so you can tell me that?
Grateful for him. I love it. I love it so much. So, and then Todd says Marty needs to watch this. I love that. And then he said, Lindsay said, is he available? I only have 2 kids. That is amazing.
I'll run him out. I just upgraded my package with Stacey, so I need some extra income. So you can run him out for the weekend.
Oh my God, I love it so much. I love when me and Neil had dinner had brunch with you and Matt, and like basically we talked the whole time, and Matt and Neil, I think, were just like, oh yeah, those eggs were great.
Oh yeah, completely silent, doing their own thing, and we were like, da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da.
I know. I think you and I are very similar in the fact that we have to have really quiet, like, men who don't say much because there's just not a lot of room with how much we say.
That's what I said. Like, Matt is a man of very few words. Like, he doesn't say much, and I'm like, no worries, I'll make up for that for you. That's all right.
Don't worry, I can talk for hours. Like, asked me a question, and then I answered it, and then he like interrupted me at some point. He goes, "Babe, I just have to tell you, like, you know, Louisville." He was like, I left Louisville Airport whenever I asked you that question, and I'm in downtown Louisville now. And I have not had to keep this conversation going at all. Like, I could just not be on the phone. Like, but I think that you and I are both like that, so it was just so funny to see them two together, and they're very, like, very similar. And then you and I, the whole time, the best afternoon ever.
I loved it. All
right, so thank you so much for being on. You are such a rock star. Everybody should go out and follow you immediately. And I cannot wait to hear this podcast and to see what's next for you. I'm dying. I can't wait.
Oh, thank you for everything. And thank you for the opportunity to be on with you. I love you.
You're so welcome. I love you too. All right. We will talk soon.
Sounds good.
All right. Bye, girl.
Bye.